Hello and welcome to Virtual Concert Hall's live music channel. My name is Chris Au and I have with me the amazing co-founder of Virtual Concert Halls, Dr. Anna Ouspenskaya.
Chris, thank you, and welcome everyone who joined the show today.
Yeah, we are delighted to be your hosts, and this is part 4 of the documentary of Beethoven's Symphony No. 8, written and narrated by Lawrence Rapchak, created by New Media Productions Worldwide and Virtual Concert Halls, and produced by Architects of Music.
And I want to thank everyone involved, our team, the Architects of Music, Lawrence Rapchak, and many other people who contributed to producing these shows. This collaboration is the result of our shared passion to connecting musicians and audiences for music performance programs and documentaries like this, and many other different shows related to classical music from musicians and artists around the globe.
And now for the third theme, which closes the exposition, Beethoven takes those two-note fragments and he smooths them out. There's definitely some of the Sixth Symphony's pastoral beauty here, but with that mischievous X motive always present. Here now is the closing theme. And that darn metronome thing starts up again. And that means the recapitulation has begun. Again, there's no development section, but a restatement now of everything that we've heard, more or less, from the beginning. But I want to go back to that bizarre burst of sound that Beethoven detonates in the midst of this otherwise jolly, carefree music. You remember this. And the music cautiously continues. Like, what was that? I don't know. I didn't hear anything. And you look at the score at this moment and you see a mass of notes, a startling effect that's created by the strings alone, no trumpets or timpani or anything. The cello and the bass play a rapid-fire F major scale, 5 notes up, 5 notes down. And the violins and violas scrub away furiously at a single F. And this is the same sort of thing, a musical shock effect, just for the fun of it, that Haydn used to thrill and delight his London audiences. In any case, there's no development section. The recapitulation has begun. Again, the cello and the bass respond. And you recall in the beginning of the movement, they shifted into G minor. But now the cello and bass continue their scale upwards, and they stay in B flat major. How about that? And now Beethoven changes the X motive into an elegant, breezy figure of two-note groups. It's almost balletic in its grace. And after a few more explosive surprises, you'll hear Beethoven tie all of this together in a brief coda in which the X motive doubles in speed, like so. Here it is. Another outburst or two, and this movement will end with this harmonic progression, a very common sort of cadential progression, which gradually crescendos and comes unglued. Here now is the second half of this delightful and witty movement, just as the recap begins, and I'll call it out as we go. And it's back. And now we stay in B flat major. And now X, the two-note groups. Very balletic and graceful. And X is in the bass. Now the motive begins to repeat and gains momentum into our second theme. But here comes the peasant band with X in the bass. Around between the woodwinds and the strings, and a lookout, duck and cover. Can we come out now? Pow! And the two-note fragments now, that's all that's left. But they begin to reassemble themselves. And here now is that lyrical theme. Very graceful, almost rococo-like. And now our third theme. Two-note groups, very gentle, with X flitting about. And a lovely serenade-like sound in woodwinds and horns. And now our coda. There's our little X motive. There it is. Now, double time. And now a simple cadence that repeats, and now double times, and now it's out of control, and here it comes. Sound the all clear, and we'll go on to the third movement.
Let's laugh about it, right?
How delightful. That's incredible. I maintain that, like, I think we talked about it in the first episode, but Larry's narration during the music, that should be something that symphony orchestras actually do through, like, just through a concert hall performance. Like, it should be live. It should be amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah, it needs to be turned into one of the offerings. I absolutely agree with you. I don't know if our audience is familiar or reading the bio of the creators of these programs, but Lawrence Rapchak was the pre-concert lecturer for many, many years for Chicago Symphony. And I never get tired of saying the Chicagoans were the lucky ones.
Yeah.
And now with the new technology, thanks to all the scientific development, we all can enjoy what only the limited number of people in the audience could, with Lawrence Rapchak talking while the themes are being played, and he quote unquote calls them out, duck and cover.
Yeah, like I think it was so amazing to have, sort of very cheap earphones. I mean, maybe the ones that, the airlines give out for the in-flight entertainment, but you can just plug it in to the side of your chair, perhaps, and you can adjust the volume depending on how loudly you want Larry's voice in your head whilst you're enjoying the music. But to listen to that whilst you're able to hear, like, let's say, the Chicago Symphony, and I think it would maybe not for everybody, but then it's an option. It's a choice,
Absolutely, I so agree with you, Chris. To have some narration like Lawrence's during the concert for available for people is a matter of choosing, right? If someone doesn't want it, they just don't put it on the earphones. As of now, the concert hall has, the environment of the concert hall has become so regulated and so structured and so limiting in what you can and cannot do. There's no such an option for someone who does want it.
Yeah.
It's like we're saying, no. your phone must be turned off, and you cannot even look up on Google anything about that symphony, not until later when it's frankly too late.
Yeah, yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't think it's necessary for everyone, but there are even in movies there are these DVD extras where you can watch the movie again, but the director or someone in the or maybe one of the actors are actually giving a commentary as the movie's going on. And I think this is becoming more and more popular even amongst, if you go on Twitch and you see people playing games and they're talking whilst the gameplay is going on. And I think maybe it's going to use our generation's very low attention span to its own benefit, because that way, if you're like, okay, I'm getting bored, I don't know what's happening, you just put it in your ear and you'll get something out of it. The other
I don't
idea
think
used to
it's
have
I don't think it's really driven by low attention span.
no, no,
I think
no.
it's actually driven by very natural curiosity about things. It's
Yes.
not like the music doesn't speak for itself. Of course it does. And it's like not like the music is not a whole without the narration. None of that. But the curiosity is just so much bigger than anything which can be created.
Yeah.
And that curiosity is it's not it's like a hunger.
Yeah.
If it can be satisfied in one form or another, it's
Yeah.
always a big plus.
And I can imagine if you're in a symphony orchestra right before the concert, before the conductor and the concertmaster comes out, there's a guy on the microphone introducing the concert and say, "Look, I'm offering a sort of commentary live whilst you're listening to it. Just put your headphones in, or just I don't know. There's probably a cheaper way to do it than just having it plugged in, sort of like in the air and on an airline.
Oh, there are
But
wireless earphones
there are
nowadays.
many
I mean,
options.
yeah,
Yeah, like you can put
technology
your
is
headphones in and tune
there.
into this radio channel, whatever it is, right? Like I don't care. But you can also see him going to the booth and just starting to look into it. And I think that's a very interesting. And you can even say, "Oh, there's the concert master. He's coming on stage and is tuning. And all right, here we go. It's off to the races, you know." And I think it's really brilliant. We watch sports like that all the time.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant. Anyway, so I
And I
think
think that kind of commentary in sports actually what draws
yeah,
people into watching the sports as much
yeah,
as the sports itself. Because
yeah,
if you're watching a baseball game for the first time in your life,
yeah,
you'll be
yeah.
bored to tears.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're
Nothing
like,
is
why we're
happening
sitting
there.
here for yeah, and then all of a sudden, like 50 things happen all at once, and you're like, wait, I missed that. I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. It was like the most important exchange in the game. So
That's
I
right.
do,
And the commentator is the one who actually not just educating you about it, but
yeah,
satisfying your curiosity of what is actually happening in there. And the commentator pointing certain things and drawing your attention to this and that and another is actually drawing you into the realm of that baseball game. How is music any different? It has
yeah.
its own realm, it has its own field, it has its own flow, its own rules and progressions, and getting familiar with those makes the audience be a participant in some role of it. Makes it much more relatable.
I definitely agree. And so, I know that like I think that little excerpt that we listened to by Larry is a really perfect example of just that, because he was just basically anticipating what you're about to hear and saying, duck and cover or whatever it is. And then now as this goes crazy, he loses control. And you're like, oh, yeah, that it really does lose control. That's really cool. You know? And
Absolutely.
and I think back to the crux of why I even fell in love with music to begin with was because I had teachers, great musicians and pianists, who were able to play the piece I was working on and talk about it as they were playing, like where like this is where the harmony goes here. Don't take time here because it goes here. And, all these things, that they do as they're playing and explaining the music with such a and we always love watching master classes, well, some master classes, but we love watching them because it's a way to get into the music, really understand what's going on, and so this is very not very different, I think. And so, one
And
day
it's,
when,
it's everything where you're
yeah,
not a professional in some field, so you can't really enjoy all the intricacies of that particular sphere of knowledge and understanding. Well, what do? You hire a guide. It's just that simple. You go
yeah,
to Versailles
yeah,
or to, Uffizi Gallery, and
yeah,
if you don't have enough knowledge of how the stories and everything are told through the paintings, you're gonna just go in there and go like, I guess that looks good. I have no clue what it's about, but
yeah,
everyone around is admiring me. Well, I wish someone told me what to admire in there. And
yeah.
even in nature, we hire guides to guide us
Oh,
to
yeah.
botanic gardens because someone has learned so much about
Yeah.
it. And the more you learn about something, the more you are able to relate to it and enjoy it. If we are turning to professionals and experts in fields like sports, nature, visual arts,
Yeah.
everything. Quite
Yeah.
frankly, we turn to experts to share their depth of understanding of it so that we can get a sense of what's behind the smokescreen of the first appearance and start enjoying it and relating it in a much more intricate and intimate way. Why not with music?
Yeah, I can imagine that. I think maybe one of the best ways to maybe begin it actually is to have someone like Larry do it for like the digital Berlin Philharmonic's digital concert hall. Since it's already digital, why don't we just, if you're listening to it, you can on your headphones, or you can just add a little extra track and you can adjust how loud that is, and to see how many people actually use that function, if it's there, and then see if that's actually going to translate into a worthy investment into the concert hall itself. Anyways, I think it's a wonderful thing, and I do believe it helped me for one. Like as a musician myself, like listening to Larry talk about it is very interesting. And imagine if you so slowly becomes so powerful and so that you have three different types of people you can listen to. You can listen to a musician who's in the orchestra talk about the music, and then you can also listen to a musicologist talk about it, and you can also listen to someone else like talk about it. Like there's like maybe a famous celebrity or someone who's very into classical music who has a different way of talking about the music. I'm not sure, but it's you get these options to choose. It might be very interesting, sort of like choosing the voice that your GPS uses to tell you where to go. To use the idea of the guide,
That's right. Yeah.
yeah. So,
But I want to bring back
yeah,
from last program we talked about compiling a list of music which makes us smile, giggle, and laugh, and the music which sort of uplifts our mood into the humorous world. And I wonder if any of our audience members have such a list of music which tells jokes and they enjoy that. And if you do, we'd love very much for you to share that in the comments. Go to any major platform where we are broadcasting. We're broadcasting everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and 50 plus other channels and platforms. Choose one and send us leave us a note, and we will read it, we will respond to it, and that I'm really curious how our audience members relate to that. Do you have a playlist where you go to if you're in if the weather is kind of gloomy, or if you want to humor? But Chris, I want to ask you: did you compile the list?
yeah, I have a few. I think of the Beethoven sonatas, obviously there's like Opus 31 number one, that one G major, which is I think sort of like a take on his students playing the wrong notes and all, like hands not together and everything. There's also Opus 10 number two, which I think is very delightful and kind of sparkly. Let me think. There are some early Beethoven string quartets on the Opus 18 set, which was very much inspired by Haydn, and so there's a few there. Haydn himself is his C major sonata, I think, is very brilliant and funny in that way, and a lot of Mozart piano concertis is so operatic and funny, and he goes all different places. I don't have a specific one, but one that I do think of within Beethoven's piano concerti is, of course, the number. the first concerto, the last movement. I mean, that's just like a ball of fun. That's just, yeah, yeah. And it's just like and the way he takes it into different keys, it's incredible. There's also a the Beethoven Violin Sonata in I think it's G major, and the last movement that happens. It's just there's all these. He changes keys, and it's brilliant. It's like it's meant to be in G major, but all of a sudden it's in A flat major, and you're like, wait, what's going on there? And then like the pianist, it's like a little pause, and the pianist goes dun 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 dun, you know, and then you just know something's funny is
But when you,
to happen.
I don't know if you have ever felt that. I always have a second thought, like a shock. I start playing it, and it sounds so out of place, so funny.
Yeah.
I keep checking the key signature. Did I miss the key signature?
Yeah, definitely. Because I think that's what I mean. Even the performer is taken outside their comfort zone for a very brief second, then the listeners also. I always have this like, wait, what? Why are we there? You know, and it's really brilliant.
Did I make a mistake? Was it really meant to be?
Absolutely. Of the romantic composers, that's a tricky one. Like Rachmaninoff doesn't have quite as many of those funny, humorous moments. Maybe not even Scriabin, or I can't. Schumann has some funny, has some little things, but in his own shimmeresque, shimmeresque way. Do you have any other suggestions or ideas?
Well, the first two which come to my mind are, of course, Haydn with his
Yes.
Surprise Symphony. So let me advertise the Surprise Symphony to anyone who wants to really get a blast in the face of musical humor, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, Johann Strauss,
Of
the
course,
king
yes.
of Vienna Waltz,
Yeah.
with his, well, that's a polka where they are supposed to really actually bring a rifle. And well, it's
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not gonna give out too many secrets, but go and listen to that. That is absolutely hilarious, and that's not the only one. Johann Strauss was really a master of Viennese humor. And by the way, Beethoven is coming from the same culture. So those, and then of course Vivaldi and his
yes.
very famous seasons.
Yeah.
You don't need to wait but a few seconds until things start happening, like duck,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
But I think
And
actually what came to mind very briefly was I think of all the Russian composers that I can think of currently, right? There's of course quite a few that would incorporate humor, but I think Tchaikovsky definitely in his ballets and in a lot of his music incorporates a lot of humor. I
absolutely,
guess, yeah.
of course, the Nutcracker. Yeah, there's a lot of humorous moments in there. Not so much in Swan Lake, but
No.
even Swan Lake has some. The little swans in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, it's a very famous tune, but some people don't even know it's by Tchaikovsky.
You know, and perhaps Shostakovich has some dry, sarcastic humor that's inserted. You know, I think it's a different kind, but yeah, I think there's definitely. I take back my statement that the Russian romantics didn't have that as much, but it's a different kind, I would say.
What is the very close kind of humor is the first symphony by Prokofiev. And it has a nickname, Classical Symphony, and that nickname stands. It's by the composer himself, and that's intentional. And a lot of that symphony sounds like a spoiled Haydn,
Yeah,
intentionally
it's
spoiled.
it's great.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's
Uh,
great. I get Prokofiev has that sort of like elbow in the ribs sort of humor, you know?
that's true. Yeah, the tickle or the
Yeah,
finger in the ribs.
yeah. Like the
Absolutely,
wet finger in the ear sort of thing, you know? It's this sort of yeah.
absolutely. But the
But
first
yeah.
symphony is the masterpiece of the humor. It just keeps making you giggle here and there. And Prokofiev used actually quite a bit from what we can hear in Lawrence Rapchak talking about Beethoven using the elements and placing them, misplacing them, and making the square elements try to fit into the round holes. kind of musical things. That's what Prokofiev did. He actually intentionally he developed the system of taking a normal theme, like which could be composed by Beethoven or Mozart, and then tearing it apart through the ranges and placing the notes which belong to that theme in completely different ranges, giving it to very different sounding instruments and creating the humorous palette that way.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a pretty good list.
Yeah. And I
I'm
want to
interested
also
to-
bring one more composer
Uh-huh.
who is often overlooked for his humor, because he was just such a dramatic, just like Beethoven actually, very dramatic, very tragic composer, and that's Modest Mussorgsky. So
yes, of course.
he primarily composed operas based on heavy-duty historical themes.
Yeah.
And yet, I want to encourage everyone to go and listen to the chickens from
That's true.
pictures of the
They're
exhibition.
very good. Yes. That's very good. Speaking of chickens, is there Rameau? There's a wonderful French Baroque composer who wrote this, and Sokolov plays it so incredibly, but it's literally called the Chickens, and it sounds like chickens that are on the go. Yeah.
That's
That's true.
Kukuhan, I think. Maybe.
Kukuran, that's it. You're right. Absolutely. I was like, oh, French Baroque. But these are just great little things. I think when we can not take our lives so seriously, I think that's when things like all of this comes out. And with that, like, this has just been a wonderful discussion, and we can't wait to hear what else Beethoven has in store for us in the third and fourth movement. So a big thanks to our team and our collaborators for putting this video together and to inspire us, especially Larry, to inspire us to have this idea. You know, one day when if I ever become, or if you become, Dr. Anna, the president of a symphony orchestra, maybe you can commission them to have this audio system that with a commentary. I think it will be really a big hit. So big thanks to that, and Nubia Media Productions, Virtual Concert Halls, Architects of Music, and of course, Larry Rapchak.
And thank you everyone who has been part of our programming for the past 5.5 years. Our community is growing, and it encourages us to keep going and bringing more programs. We feel appreciated, we feel supported, we feel like we're doing something which brings something good into this world and to people who watch our programs. So thank you all very much for being part of this production effort to bring classical music to audiences from around the world. And how do we do that? By simultaneously streaming our programs on all major platforms and many other curated platforms in different countries. So we would like to hear back from you. Log in, hit that subscribe sign in there, subscribe to our channel so you know when we are live again and bringing more programs to you.
Yeah, this has been quite a incredible 5 years. Congratulations, 5.5 years, Dr. Anna and the whole team. And we just are so passionate about telling the stories from around the world of musicians and music makers out there who really have a lot to say and may not be as quote unquote famous out there, but they're still doing the good work of bringing music to different people and different audiences. So thank you for your work in elevating all these people and giving them a platform to use like a simple microphone and camera to have this content out in the world. So thank you very much to the whole team and everybody. And with that, we have many more parts, but the third movement is coming up for Beethoven's Eighth Symphony, and we'll see you next time for part 5 of the Beethoven 8 documentary series.
Bye now.